Okay, that's fine.
That's okay.
Do you have a cold, Bill?
I'm getting on top of a cold. I'm
Okay.
finally beating it, so,
Yuck.
yeah. So I think I'll hopefully be done for the winter season, get it out of the way early.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's got that congestion.
Yeah, I think just the weather being like this early is causing a lot of
Boy, it
people.
is, didn't it?
Yeah.
On back up.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm saying the pledge.
Yeah.
Okay, we will research
Back up there.
Consent
Can
agenda.
I ask on the consent
Oh,
agenda?
sure.
Is this rental resolution standard
Yes, we do that every year.
every year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to put it on early that way, I didn't forget about it. You know how my luck runs, you know, December or January 2nd, I would need to do something. So it's just something I put on every year towards the end of the year. Kathleen.
Okay, sounds good. That's it.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Roll calling?
Rita?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
All right, I only have one discussion item, and I'll
Okay.
be kind of brief. The last time I exchanged emails with one of the Brimfield Township trustees, they're asking for a letter, a contract proposal from me today. I can't sit here and do either or because we still have this stalemate over mandatory versus subscription. So I'm just letting the board know, I plan on sending out an email today requesting another meeting where we can talk
Okay.
about this further.
Okay.
Again, the major hurdle is mandatory versus
Yeah.
subscription.
Bill, we can't do subscription.
Right,
So
right.
what-
And,
what is
yeah,
that?
and I think too, I would strongly encourage the trustees to get the pulse of the residents, because, you know, with the contract ending December 31st, you know, that's a rough time of the year for us to go out and pick up carts. We're very busy. So, and I just think that maybe not all the residents, you know, not everybody does social media. I'm one of them that just doesn't, so.
Good for
I
you.
miss a lot of things, some of it probably better. But I also want to avoid a lot of phone calls, whether it's in the district offices or whatever. So I'm going to try one more shot at the communication and try to talk this thing through rationally. I think that's the best course of action for both parties involved, so I will
We're
send that.
getting to crunch time.
Well,
Can
yeah,
you let me know when that meeting's set up? I may attend that meeting.
okay,
I've been getting calls from two of the trustees,
right.
and so maybe,
Yeah, no, that's
Get a
fine.
pulse.
What I'll do is, I'll send the email, and when we start scheduling meetings, I'll just put you on the email
okay.
chain. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. So other than that, that's it. Stay warm, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay.
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll calling?
Rita?
Yes,
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicky?
you're right, you didn't even have time to take your scarf off.
I'm telling you, I try to be proactive.
This is Bill.
Hey, Laura?
Excuse me, Diane.
Good morning, Laura. How are you guys? Oh, geez, not here today. Just you.
Just like everyone.
I just have one item for discussion and then after that a brief item. So the first item was another water quality plan adjustment, and this is for the Haven of Portage County. They're working to make a warming house, and they would like to get that started this winter to make that available. It's a warming center. So it's an adjustment to an existing parcel, but right now the Ravenna water quality plan does not have an orange area, which is areas that will be served by public sewers in the next 20 years. So we have to revise that to include that in the Ravenna facility planning area. And this is just staying ahead of the EPA PTI approval process. Normally they do ask for those orange areas to be in the 208 plan. So by doing this, we're staying ahead of that to have this all prepared and ready. So in the attachment was that legal advertisement, there's a letter requesting that, and then there's the package amendment sign off responsible from the commissioners to sign. So we can sign that.
Yeah, I didn't see any problems with this.
Okay. Good.
Nope.
So we're just doing this right now to stay ahead of it in case when the PTI goes into closure, they
Yeah.
can get that expedited.
I think it's in our journal entry.
It is, yeah, there's a journal entry in there.
Okay.
So that's, we have everything.
Yep.
Then the last one is we have a retirement coming up. It's Cindy Hazlett is retiring, and we have journal entry language in for her retirement gift for us to release that funding for her retirement gift. And also, we are having a luncheon on November 27th. It's our Thanksgiving luncheon, and at that luncheon, we'll be doing a proclamation to Cindy, and we would ask if one of the commissioners could be present for the proclamation. And if that's not possible, Gina or I can present it to her.
Okay.
So it's at 12:30 p.m.
At 12:30?
The gift and the proclamation.
I gotta put it in something.
And that's November 27th.
Okay. We got it.
Pretty easy.
Okay.
Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Laura.
Stay warm.
Thanks.
Oh, you're here for the Board of Elections today?
We came to, in support of
The budget.
Terry and Faith, and they were gonna talk to you about their budget, and I think they told us 9:15, so hopefully they're on their way.
Oh,
Oh.
okay, they're coming up then.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
send them.
Actually, we have them at 9:30.
Well, it was
I called them
changed
yesterday.
tonight.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay. We just- Okay. Gonna recess then?
Was that our
Yeah.
So 10 a.m. is still?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, how are you?
I felt like
Yeah.
water.
It was good. All's good.
Yeah, I found it. I just put down the Oregon Board of Elections.
Oh, yeah, everybody's thinking it's sick, except for the adults. Yeah. So, the kids are fine. They're just on the sinuses and sleep deprivation. No, they're doing great and wonderful. My grandson, he started wrestling through the southeast. Little kids first through sixth grade. He's 6. First grade through sixth grade. He's kind of like a little wrestler, just learning the basics. After Thanksgiving, they do some matches at Canfield High School. Like they wrestle 2 matches and go everything very intense, just like in basics. And he it's one thing to wrestle with dad and
That's not gonna be loud.
yeah, they, so, yeah, the crew is out doing the framing and there were no walls up yesterday. They came yesterday, it started Monday, but it snowed so much they couldn't see each other. So yesterday, they were all the extra walls were already.
got no problem.
Just, these guys work. They don't stop.
Smells some good coffee out there.
It always smells better than it tastes.
Oh, really?
In
Okay.
my opinion.
You want some?
I do, but I don't.
Shouldn't drink coffee, it'll keep you awake on the job.
You
Shouldn't drink coffee, it'll keep you awake on the job.
Brian. If I'm gonna fall asleep, I'm gonna fall asleep coffee or no coffee.
Yeah.
Which
No,
one
it's
order?
Oh, okay, when is that?
Oh, actually, it's a Saturday.
Oh, it's Saturday? Is it in Kent?
No, it's at the KFC.
Oh, Twinsburg. You know what? Either Krista Cano, who covers Kent State, or
Yeah.
April Holmes, who covers education for the weeklies. So, it's not likely we'd be able to have somebody present at it, but we might be able to have.
Summer.
Yeah, and we might be able to get a photographer, it just depends on what their schedule is like.
Well, we have a photographer to photograph everything.
Good morning.
Well, look at this, where is it going?
Not bad, I'm-
Sorry about that.
Oh, dear.
You made coffee, you didn't come.
No, because I came out on that. I'm missing my coffee too.
Oh, there's still some left. I'm not coordinating with my family. Hold on.
Brian Adams. I work for the Board of Elections on election days.
Do you?
Yeah,
Fun, isn't it?
winterly in the
Oh, you're on
village
winter?
B,
Okay.
the food desert.
Yeah, that's getting on. I just heard
I'm sorry about that.
closing the sale a lot in Kent.
Yeah,
I think they would
Why?
mix. Why?
because they're not making any money.
Well, why, well, why not?
Just that, well, there's Mark's up there. Mark's right around the corner.
You can't get everything with Marks.
Well, obviously, they're making the money they want to make. That's for sure closing up.
I like Save a Lot. I do, Save a Lot.
Maybe
Welcome, ladies.
Yeah.
Good morning. Okay.
So the reason we're here is we received from Mr. Bragg the 2020 proposed budget draft. And we are quite concerned about the employee overtime line, 313000. We had requested a dollar amount of $119,094. And what is listed here is $40,400, which is what our current, for this current year is. As I'm sure you're aware, next year is a presidential year. And based upon the actual amount of overtime hours that were worked in 2016, we spent $104,965 in overtime in 2016. We have had some increases in people's pay, and so that is why the dollar amount being requested is $119,094. We cannot put on an appropriate, fair election with only $40,000 of overtime. It just won't happen. We are very cognizant of our, what we use in overtime. I think there'll be a portion of money coming back this year because we are very cognizant. It's a presidential primary. And anybody who's paying attention knows that things are, it's gonna be an unusual presidential election. And in addition to some of the, because we talked to you about the Secretary of State's cybersecurity, we anticipate that some of that stuff, even though everything needs to be done by the end of January, there may be some new directives related, just because it is a presidential primary. And so that's why we're here. We have our board here because they understand what we have to do. And we are required, many of the hours that we work overtime are required and mandated by the state. We can't just say, okay, we don't have overtime in our budget, so we're not gonna be open. That's just not an option. In 2016, we did have a situation where we had requested $100,000 and we were only appropriated $84,000. And I got an uncomfortable meeting from the auditor's office saying you have gone over, you don't have enough money to pay your people. And it may be that the money was reallocated and that's all fine and good, but I don't have time, we don't have time in the middle of October, November to be worrying about, do we have enough money to pay the people who make sure that our elections are full, fair, and honest.
Okay, just let me reiterate, Terry, you requested 119 and you received 40, is that correct?
Yes, I can provide here.
Oh, that's okay.
Vicki, you should have.
I've got this, yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, and so, yeah, that's,
Okay.
I guess that's pretty much it.
We'll check into that.
Yes, definitely.
Would you?
Okay.
Well, and again, we from the board just wanted to be one supportive. We felt it was reasonable. They used the exact same number of hours that we utilized in 2016, did not increase the number of hours. As Terry said, there's been pay increases that have been approved in the last 4 years. I'd also, again, reiterate that not only is it a presidential year, which we're all very sensitive to, and we realize those are time-consuming in and of themselves, but it's also an election year of most county elected officials. I know I don't have to remind most you of that. Those are gonna be contested races. Most of them, if not all of them, they are going to be perhaps more important to our local citizens and our constituents than the presidential election. Sometimes I think they should be, because it has more of a true effect, direct effect on them, on all of us. Who knows what levies will be out there? All of those things will be happening. And not to mention that just I thought unusual was a very diplomatic word. Thank you, Terry. But again, those are the things that are happening, and we don't want to be in a position where we have to face the auditor or the Secretary of State to say, sorry, we didn't have enough money, or, no, the money's coming, we know it will, the commissioners always do come through, but that's a very precarious position to be in. So, again, we just wanted to reiterate the seriousness of it. I know you already know those things, and we're probably, it's the repetitiveness of it constantly, but we did want you to know, not only the board members, but we support our staff. We are really doing their best in guarding that overtime. They don't want to spend any money either there. Obviously, we all have a vested interest in keeping these elections fair, accurate, honest, all of those things with our cybersecurity as well as manpower. Can't run elections without the manpower. You can have all the pencils and paper and programs you want, but you need that manpower. So, again, that's.
Okay, well, we appreciate you coming, all of you, thank you.
So I do have
This
this
is support.
spreadsheet that shows what we used in 16, what we're requesting in 19.
I think you gave that to us before.
I did.
Yeah, I have
but
that.
if you need
Yeah.
another copy, I
I'll
brought
take
that.
another copy too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do you guys have any questions for me?
I don't.
I think that's pretty straightforward.
Well, I'm known for my.
Well, it should be noted, the salary lines of the proposed were not the board's intention. The board still has to discuss all that. The board never in their mind dreamed that they were gonna have 40,000 in overtime for the board election.
Well,
Your salary
And-
lines are still being discussed.
but this is not a salary line, and that's
I
why
understand it's in a freeze. I'm just telling you, those aren't final, so
Okay.
I don't want it, the perception to be that the board thought it was only gonna have 40,000 in overtime to budget. That was never the case.
All right, well, I just went by what your email said, and it said salary, and I don't consider overtime to be salary.
Threes are salary lines.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Pat?
Thank you.
Great show of support.
A couple of dimes on this one.
Especially when you have a sweater.
Do you ladies remember to sign in?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, they did.
We made coffee if you want a cup.
Oh, good.
Which one?
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Doria. Have a good one, keep warm.
Yeah, I'm trying that.
We'll recess for a couple minutes here. Time should be after shortly.
10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
Oh, 10 o'clock.
Did you have any questions?
Oh, that's right, it is 10 o'clock.
It's a public hearing, you can't vote by that.
Or do you want me to-
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I was thinking 9:30, you're right.
You know, one on did the revised resolution,
Yes.
are we not considering that? I just don't have it out here.
That's up to the board. If you want to pass that
I
version, you pull the other.
printed it off.
Oh, okay.
Did you print it off for anybody, Amy?
Do
No?
you want me to print copies?
Yeah, probably,
Yeah,
because I
in
printed
your
mine off.
email to us.
Yeah.
Should we have Sue come up and talk to us about that, or what do you recommend?
If you have questions, I would have Sue come up. If you don't, you can just pass it.
Okay,
It probably wouldn't hurt to have her come up, because
Yeah.
that was quite an addition.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be good too. Can you talk to her?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if she's there. Do you want her now, or do you want her
Yeah.
like at 10:30 or 11?
You
We
can
can
whichever.
have her
she-
come
Yeah, we
Okay.
can take her now.
And then Todd, can you be in here?
Do it. I'm sorry, Serena. I missed
And
it.
then, can you be in here then?
Yeah,
Okay.
Wow, absolutely.
We're gonna recess about 5 minutes.
5 minutes late. No.
I think that's what Todd said.
Todd's getting.
Anything significant?
It wasn't emailed to you then, I'm assuming, right?
Just
To tell you the truth, I didn't really.
complaining about Brimfield Township.
We'll see.
She is on her way.
Okay. Thank you.
Does Amy have it?
I don't.
Okay, all right.
Todd, did you put your email out?
Oh, no, sure.
Me too. Come on up.
Up here?
Okay, we called you up, Sue, because we got a notice yesterday later that a resolution had been changed. We originally had just $1,000 on there, and it's increased quite a bit. And we just kind of wanted you to give your input on that.
What was it? What was increased quite a bit?
We had a resolution for $1,000, Job and Family Services, and late yesterday, we received an update that was to be considered today, $10,000, $215,000, for a total of $225,000. You're not familiar with it?
Well, I don't know what the 1,000 is. There was one previously that I did in October that wasn't taken care of in October, so I just assumed that one didn't go through.
I thought the one that we had was 540614. It was Board of Commissioners Child Support contract.
That's a transfer.
No,
That one's a transfer.
that's not the one we're talking about.
So I had one that was 1128 that was unappropriated certification in October that I was moving to my budget.
Who made these then? Who's-
I don't do that.
Todd, why don't you come
Are
up
we
here?
confused here?
I have the 215, which this was a brand new one that I did in November.
That's the one they're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so that I had unappropriated
This
certification
is
out there,
the-
so I was putting it to my
This
budget.
is the resolution, if they do it through, the original resolution only had that because they're due to the board Monday night. I got your email after that, so the resolution had to be amended, and so they would just, I think, like a little explanation to ease their mind about the additions to those funds.
So I don't know what the $1,000 is.
The budget amendment that was passed last week was for 1,000 more than they had certified.
Yeah,
So
and
we
I
had-
saw that out there and I have no
so we
idea
have
how
to
that
take it. It
happened,
doesn't
which
matter
is
how it
fine.
happened, we have to take it
Which
down
is fine, I
$1,000.
don't, that's
So that's
fine.
what the 1,000 is for.
Okay, I
What is
didn't
it
know
for?
about
I'm
that.
sorry, what is it for?
Last week, they passed the budget amendment, you passed the budget amendment that JFS requested for 176,000. They only had 175,000 certified, so that put us $1,000 over certification if you saw the auditor's letter. And so we have to decrease that the next chance we have, which is today.
Okay, that's fine. So then when I went out and looked at my unappropriated certification in the beginning of November, I had 215,000 out there, so I was just putting it out in my budget.
Okay,
Say that
then
again?
the 10,000.
I had 215,000 unappropriated certification on November 12th when I did this, so I was moving it out to my expense budget, so I could use it.
And then the 10,000 is another, that was, you had that you can use.
I don't know what the 10,000 is. We did one for 40,000.
It's the 1413, I believe Angela puts those in for you, or
Angel,
is it
yeah,
Angel?
she
Let's
said it was
call her Angela.
40,000 that she did. I didn't look at it myself.
Okay.
But we had unappropriated out there because we have a new opioid grant that came in, and that was approved by the Budget Commission the end of October, so then we were putting it out.
It was resolution 8
Yeah.
is the one, okay, we need to decrease it. Okay. And so, okay, so they just brought in additional appropriations after we had received the original.
That's why you have the amended
Resolution.
resolution.
Mhm.
Okay. And now, are these advances from the levies? Because I know, now,
It's not cash, it's just budget.
it's just budget. Okay. Okay. Job and Family Services.
That budget does lead to expenses though.
Right. But I can't pay my
Gosh, I
expenses
just want to
until I get
point that
money,
out.
and I can't get my money until I pay my expenses, so it's all one big circle.
Okay. Yeah, we're just trying to understand, and that's one thing I want to focus on is our enterprise and like JFS. Because you're not general fund, I don't feel that I have a good enough grasp on your budgeting, and I want to make sure that we're all on board and
Yeah,
understand
I only
that, so.
appropriate what they allow me to appropriate, and the Budget Commission is what did that at the end of
Okay.
October, so.
Sue, is there a reason that it came after our deadline? Is there?
I wasn't aware of a deadline.
Okay. Well, Todd?
Todd just told me to tell him when I needed something to go up for the next Thursday, and so that's what I did.
So we do have a deadline for our resolutions, for our meeting prep, so we can consider everything at once. So it's not coming last minute, which is why.
Which is fine. I just
Right.
sent it to him, so I just asked him to send it the next time that he goes, and I just said Thursday because I figured that was the next time he went. If it's past the deadline, then
It's Monday night,
past.
right? Monday before college.
Monday is when, you
Yeah.
guys
Yeah,
want
I'm
everything.
sorry, I've not been aware of any.
So that's what it is. If it's an emergency, we can
Mhm.
add it, but otherwise, you know, we would put it on for the next batch. But you should if it's after Monday and you need it that week, then
Okay, yep, that's
No,
fine
but
with me. I
that's-
just wasn't aware of the deadline.
Okay, great.
yeah.
That it?
Thank you.
That's helpful.
Thank you. Okay, so we need to pull resolution 8
Pass it separately.
and substitute it with,
This one we have to do separately.
yeah. Okay. Okay, is there anything else we should be considering?
I had a couple questions.
And when you say, okay, and that's it, I would recommend. I guess, Todd, I want to go back to your notation to us about caution, about allowing additional spending. So are you cautioning us on the 215? I mean,
I'm not sure where the board is. JFS made a presentation last week that seems to have raised some questions regarding expenses and revenues. I'm simply pointing out to you that this would facilitate further expenses.
But her
Which-
explanation is that that amount is certified and available.
Well, certified means that Budget Commission feels reasonable that that money's coming in. That's their opinion on that side of things. You still have to decide whether the expense is reasonable. So Budget Commission certifying the amount does not really view of being overspent if it ends that way, I guess.
So is this above and beyond what was part of the budget passed about a
Budget
year
Commission
ago?
did just up their certification last month, at the end of last month.
yeah.
I wasn't aware of those discussions, so I'm not sure what their rationale for doing it was. So yes, this money is there, or I should say the certification is there that you could appropriate this.
But we have not appropriated it and already through a budget
Correct.
passed.
Correct.
Previously,
They need this
which is
appropriated
why-
additionally so they can enter into more contracts for the end of this year.
But you're advising us to be cautious when doing this because it's appropriated, it's in their budget. But are these,
This is an increase in their budget. All I'm bringing up to you is there were some questions expressed last week.
yeah,
If you still need answers to those, then I don't know if it behooves you to continue allowing further expenses. If you're satisfied with the answers that you've received, then by all means you should proceed with this. I didn't know, so I was simply pointing out to the board that these were JFS funds coming forward on this resolution.
Would you like more time to, I mean, it sounded like she
Yeah.
felt like put this on the next available agenda, not, it didn't,
Her email asked me if I could bring it this Thursday. She
This
may have
Thursday, that's
not
right.
specifically wanted it. I know last week, she was very clear, no, this has to go this week, so I assume this was similar, but
well,
it's okay.
maybe we can.
I don't need the time because I am not going to review their funds unless the board asks me to, and the board has not asked me to, so it's between the board and Kelly Jo and Sue as to where your questions are and whether they've been answered.
But you know what, I think there's reason for us to maybe start reviewing these. I mean, and I've said it last week and this week, I'm concerned about our enterprises, that we don't really have any oversight to them. Because we'll just look at general fund, so we don't look at their budgets, and I mean, I think there just needs to be more oversight, or at least understanding on my behalf for some of these. And maybe if she doesn't need it this week, maybe we pause on this, hold off on this for this week and just pass the resolution as it is, and then get some more questions answered. Because I think I have some questions that I'll run past you, Todd, that I could ask.
And Todd, you and I did speak last week, and I did have questions that
Yeah.
I wanted you to pursue with them and keep us in the loop on. So I don't think this is completely, you're out of it and it's with us and Sue and Kelly Jo. I mean, I think we
I'm
have
happy
asked
to do whatever you
you.
want. Yeah, and we haven't discussed those answers, that's why, again, I'm just pointing out.
Yeah.
Do you want to pass this while you still have questions to be answered?
No, I think I would like to delay this until I get some more of my questions answered. I know I shared a couple concerns with you as well, and like I said, I think the board in general, we may need you or you and Sue to come and help us understand this better, because we don't see, you know, month-to-month oversight or anything. We see these transfers, but, you know, we're thinking as long as the money's there, we're good. But there seems to be a lot of spending in advance expenses that they're asking for more and more advances on levy money, which means they're spending money they don't have. It's like us asking for a paycheck advance. And that's not necessarily a good policy and system to get into, and that's.
We're not certain that is what's happening, but we're not
Yeah,
certain
I
it's
was
not.
gonna
either.
say, I don't know if this is in advance.
No, this is.
No, this is not, this one is
no.
not, but I know
There's
they've
been-
come to us before, yeah. And how do we avoid that is my concern.
You know, since
So-
this isn't in advance, maybe we should pass this today, but then still pursue the questions and, you know, because.
I think though there's concerns overall, because she has different divisions that some have money, some don't, but the overall picture, I think they're tight. And I think that's what Todd's trying to tell us. Before we approve the ability for more expenses, we may need to have certain questions answered.
I agree with Vicky. I feel like they answered these questions.
Okay.
I think there are still questions, and more information would be helpful. I feel comfortable, based on Sue coming up here and her explanation on this particular
Okay.
text. I think something different would
Trigger us.
Yeah,
And
I
since she
do.
said it wasn't necessarily advanced, but I think Todd's concern is that their overall expenses.
I agree with that. I think
Yeah,
we need to
I agree
continue
with that
to
also.
carefully track that. And
Uh-huh.
Todd, I think we need your help with that and your
Yeah.
communication with them and back to us and further conversations with them.
And I think this is what this was supposed to be too, right?
And it's not just Kelly Jo. I think we seriously need more oversight on our enterprises too. I mean, solid waste, water resources, because I think we need to truly understand all of it.
So I had a couple questions on resolutions 6 and 7. I just wondered if you could explain both of those, because they were pretty, here, I'll
Which
give
one
them
is
to
that? I'm
you.
sorry.
It's okay.
Was that the cash advance and the transfer?
Yeah, I underlined that.
Yeah, so our debt is due.
Yeah.
3012 should be the advance. That is for your Riddle Block debt.
Yes.
You collect rent on that building whatever comes up short between rent versus the debt payment, we have to transfer from the general fund. And so this is the first step in that. Because the payment is due the end of November, we do a cash advance. Then when the actual December rents come in, we do a transfer for the difference and then pull back the cash advance. That way we get the exact amount in for the year, yeah. So that's why this is an advance, because the transfer itself will not need to be this large, but we do have a debt payment that large that needs it for now. The other one is the transfer, again, that's the same thing to cover debt payment. That one in particular, I believe, is for the courts, which we will get back when the courts
Their
approve
special
their
project
journal entry.
fund.
Yeah, and that's around 570 that they will reimburse the commissioners for.
And how does the timing work on that?
They believe that they agreed to reimburse our payments, so they always wait until we pay and then reimburse us, which creates a lot of extra work, but that's their interpretation.
They want to make
so
sure
we
we
just do
pay it
that way.
before they reimburse us.
Yes, I don't know if they think we're gonna keep the money, but debt is the first thing out the door. So we couldn't keep it even if we wanted to.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you.
All right.
Excuse me, while Todd is up here, may I ask a question about the jail tax? I realize it's 13 and a half months off, but when that extra tax is retired, end of 2020, will there be any accounting of how much money came in and
Yes.
how it was spent?
Yes.
There's always that now.
There's always an accounting of that, because it's a separate account.
But I mean, will there be a final summary? Thank you very much.
Sure.
I'm still alive. That's true, I don't have my family history isn't great, but thank you.
Good. Okay, thanks, Todd.
Thank you, Todd. Still have some time.
Okay, we'll recess for a few minutes until